We already knew he was talented, but it's how well he's been able to step up into a primary role. It's one thing being good and being talented as being a squad player or a guy that we can sometimes call upon. It's another thing where no, we are now expecting you to say what's up. If Arsenal had a great striker, a quality striker that was on the same wavelength as Odegaard, they win this league. 100%. Look at what Cole Palmer has done, and look at how well he's performed with inferior pieces. So, the nominees for EPL Player of the Season. So before we even go into individuals, which we think should week, are we happy with these 8 dudes? I think everybody's looking at Van Dijk. Now, Van Dijk has been awesome for most of the season. But when you just look at how Liverpool have sort of faltered a bit, like in the last few games or so, people are pointing towards Van Dijk as like, yo, Virg, you've looked a bit iffy. It looks a bit iffy. So I think people are looking at Van Dijk and saying, now people saying that Saka should be here. I'm like, no. Like Odegaard, yes. Saka, no. I think this is pretty much Coolio, Now, that's what people are saying. Rodri. For me, I like, see, in an ideal world, I think it would be great if you had at least one keeper, at least one defender, at least one midfielder, at least one striker. But I wouldn't be mad if you took out Van Dijk and put in Rodri. I would put in Rodri over Van Dijk. Because if City win the league, which we expect they are, so when City do win the league, Rodri has been a major part. And I don't think anybody will say, oh, it's unfair to have 3 City players here. Or there's a City player who I'm like, So, yeah, apart from the Verge, I think the Verge is everyone else. Oli Watkins, look at what's happened with Villa. Isaac, he's like a one-man army for Newcastle. Arsenal in the side race because of Odegaard. We understand Haaland, we understand Foden. Rice, he's been awesome for Arsenal again. Big reason why they're saying what's been the title race. Cole P. Forget about that trash that Chelsea bring. Based on the trash he's had to go through, say what's up. Speaking of Cole P, so let's just look at each individual that maybe I'm going to make my assessments as to who I feel should be player of the season. You see, so for people watching the NBA, now you don't need to watch the basketball to know, but I think the NBA analogy here will actually it actually makes sense, and you actually understand where I'm with the analogy. So there is this big issue of Jokic winning the Best Player award over this guy called SG. I think it's Shea Gilgeous Alexander. And people are like, okay, Jokic may have all the numbers, but look at the team Thunder are. They're a young team who nobody had saying what's up, and he led them to become number 1 in the division. So it's we are praising him as an individual working with inferior pieces in comparison to Jokic, who has superior pieces to walk around. So this is similar to where look at what Cole Palmer has done and look at how well he's performed with inferior pieces. Now, people will say, oh, well, how much was Enzo? How much was Caicedo? How much were all these players? Forget the number. Let's deal with the reality. The reality is the players have underperformed. The players have been bad. And these are the same guys who finished 12th last season. And Cole Palmer has single-handedly dragged Chelsea to potentially getting a Europa League spot. Without Cole Palmer, Chelsea would be 12th. 100%. Chelsea would be fighting for top 4 on page 2. Without Cole Palmer, Chelsea would be fighting for a top 4 position on page 2 of the Premier League table. These are facts. these are facts. So he is a great example of a player of the season, because we can't just say player of the season is the team that's just amazing. That is to do with it. That does help. But it's how well did you do as an individual? And what do you have to work with? Because gate means something, dot means something, degree of difficulty. Cole Palmer's degree of difficulty count is high. Based on how well he's done with the trash he's had to deal with. So I think Cole Palmer has a great case. I think the guy has a freaking great case because he's had an amazing season. We can't just look at the numbers. We can't just look at the numbers here. So I get it, 25. I think he's on 25 goals, I believe. And I think Cole Palmer's on 21 goals. I believe he's on 25 goals at the moment. From this recordings, remember this has been taken before the Fulham game. He's currently on 25 goals, but put the goals aside. He's going to be top goal scorer. He will end up having the golden boots. This is player of the season. This isn't who scored the most goals. This is player of the season. Haaland hasn't been the best player of the season. He will end up scoring the most goals, so he'll be the best goal scorer this season. He's not been the best player this season, and he'll even admit to you that he has struggled. This has been a much more difficult year, and that just goes to show the talent of the individual, which is that this is a year where he's struggled and he's actually been criticized a lot more than last year. Bro, guys are calling him they're calling him a freaking tree trunk. Okay, so he's been called a full-on prime Norwegian tree trunk, and he's dropped all these goals, and he's going to end up winning the golden boot while being insulted for being a complete brick who scores 9% on the eye test. That's dud. That's dud. So, but no, I don't think he should be in the conversation as to potential winners, because despite all the goals, he simply has not performed well enough with enough quality to actually be in the convo. So I say no. Strong case. Very, very strong case. City will win 4 in a row. As they win 4 in a row, Foden has been a major part of this, because I think this is his breakout season. Every other time there was Mahrez there was Gundogan there, he was always a squad player. He was not first on the team sheet. He has been first on the team sheet, one of the first names on the team sheet, and he has performed extremely well all through this season. So there is a strong case for Foden to win this award, especially given the facts of City will win the league, and he'd be a major part of that. And City have been pretty much easily the best team this season. So I think Foden has a great case. So for me, if we're putting it into the box, I think Foden and Cole Palmer, they now enter that discussion of these are potential guys who can now say what's up. So I think Foden, look, he's been amazing, and we already knew he was talented, but it's how well he's been able to step up into a primary role. It's one thing being good and being talented as being a squad player or a guy that we can sometimes call upon. It's another thing where no, we are now expecting you to say what's up. You are now one of the first names on the team sheets, and you're now one of the main characters in this team. He was a side character. He was a borderline NPC from the past few years. Now you're a main character. You're now a real role player for this team, and he's taken that very well. So Foden is a strong candidate. They're going to come up short. Odegaard has been amazing. He's been outstanding. He's been absolutely outstanding. For me, he's been Arsenal's best player. And I think he's had an amazing season. And for me, there is a strong case for him to win this award. Keep in mind, this is a team game. Keep in mind, it can't solely be the team that wins the league. This award is the best player of the season. The best player of the season. So again, is my basketball analogy. So the Thunder came first in the division. I believe the Nuggets came third. But Jokic has a strong case, because even if his team came third, based on just how good he was as an overall individual, they gave him the award. So if Arsenal end up coming second, which most likely they will come second, that doesn't matter. Odegaard has been outstanding this season. In terms of leading the team as a captain, in terms of his goals, the timing of his goals, his assists, his overall play, and how important he's been to the attack. Because let's keep this in mind. Trossard, I think, has been great. Havertz, Jesus, Saka, he's really been carrying the attack. As in, the guy who had been relied upon has been him. Trossard is the guy who comes off the bench, starts off the bench. He is starting every single time, and I believe he is the most important attacker in terms of goals, being the puppeteer, the Geppetto, and controlling things. And I just feel he's now taking his forward to the next level right now for Arsenal. Arsenal get a quality striker, they're a different team. If Odegaard now has an amazing striker, imagine if you gave Odegaard a pick Anelka, a pick Henry, pick Batistuta, pick Baggio, you'd pick Shevchenko, you're looking at a very different team. I think if Arsenal had a great striker, a quality striker that was on the same wavelength as Odegaard, they win this league, 100%, 1,000%. If they had a striker who could walk off of it, sort of like, remember Ozil and Chris Cristiano, or I'll take it back for you guys, Del Piero and Trezeguet at Juve. You have that kind of understanding, bro, you now begin to cook. So shout out to Odegaard. You know what I talk about strikers? Isaac and Odegaard could be interesting. So Newcastle, they've struggled a bit. They've been up and down. But I knew this guy was good from Sociedad. Now, he's been performing a lot better, but I already know this guy was that dude from Sociedad. And despite Newcastle's struggles, it is the kinds of goals this guy's scoring. We know about his footwork. We know about his close control, his dribbling ability, his balance on the ball, and just his goal scoring, his off-the-ball movements. He is a striker. In this world of false nines, inside forwards, he's one of the few strikers. I don't know this, and I feel he can get better. I feel like he can get better. I do feel unless Newcastle recruits well and get a better coach and take it to the next level, I think Isaac is too good for these guys. Because I feel this guy can be a truly amazing world-class striker. And I think that's, again, best player of the season. Despite where Newcastle are, Isaac has been outstanding. He's been amazing. I would argue, pound for pound, he's been the best striker. Haaland has scored more goals. I get that. Based on what you have to work with and how he's performed with what he's had to work with, I would argue that pound for pound, he's been a better striker than Haaland. Because we can't just look at it based on the raw numbers. We have to give context here. Imagine, let's switch it. If Haaland played for Newcastle and Isaac played for Man City, would Haaland perform as well as Isaac is for Newcastle? And can we say that Isaac would actually score even more goals and perform even better in that team that requires a striker who can actually play with the ball 2 feet, which Haaland can't? So Isaac has been amazing. Superb, amazing striker, and I think he's got a pretty good shot. This is another good shout. 100 mil. So when it costs 100 mil, pressure. All eyes are on you and you have to perform. And I say to myself that Rice is one of the best players in his position in the world. Busquets, he's now chilling out in Miami with Leo and them boys. Kanse, chilling out in Saudi Arabia. Casemiro, getting spawned by a palace built of crystals. So in that DM position, that midfield DM, that's where you're like the anchor. That's anchor in the midfield. Forget England. Forget Europe. He's one of the best in the world. Because this guy's tackling, his ability to intercept passes, his ability with the ball, to pass the ball, to bring the ball up, his ability both defensively and offensively, just his all-round ability is crucial. So he has been a true asset. And I think, at first I was like, 100 million and everything, but I'm like, bro, again, if Arsenal had a striker with what Rice is doing, they probably win the league. So Rice he's added so much presence and such a strong identity to that midfield, and I think he's been a huge asset. So I think for sure you have to put him in there as one of the best this season because he's been so good for Arsenal. Like, I think he's the kind of guy where you pair with a Modric. As in, if you had like a Modric or you had like a Cruz or a Javi, like a ball controller, he's the guy that just sort of anchors the midfield. Like Real Madrid had, like he's the Casemiro role for Real Madrid, or the Busquets role. But you now need the Modric guy and the Toni Kroos guy, which ain't really Partey. It's sort of Odegaard, but he's sort of comes in to collect the ball, but also goes up, but someone that stays in that midfield with Rice. That's the whole idea. But look, he's been amazing. He's been amazing. And I think that players like these are crucial. If you're building a team, this is one of the players you need in your team. The midfield, that is the foundation of your team. That is the heart and soul of your team. That is the nucleus of your team. And you need an anchor, a guy that just brings everything together and forms a solid base that allows everyone to flourish. Imagine Pogba. Imagine if United had Rice when Pogba was there. Very different team. So we look at all these guys there, and I say, so who would I give this to? Who would I give this to? I'd love to give it to Toto Kolpe. I'd love to give it to Kolpe, and I think Kolpe is a strong candidate. I think he's a real strong candidate to give it to Kolpe. So he's strong in there. I think you can really bring him out there because he has easily stood up. I think what goes against him is as much as he stood out and amazing as it's been, Chelsea has been so problematic. Chelsea has just been such a problematic team to deal with, and that has just been an issue, which is just that Chelsea just had such an up and down season. They're finishing strong, but this is the entirety of the season. It's almost like too little, too late. But you've got to give a shout out to him. So I think Cole Palmer has a strong shout out just how much he's really been out there, man. Most people will go for Foden, and I would not argue if he went for Foden. Foden makes sense. Since you're going to win the league, he's going to be one of the main players for that thing. For me personally, and this is just me. So if I was voting, so for me, I view things differently. So this is me as the football guy, viewing football my own way. I would give this is just my idea. I'll give it to Odegaard. Because I feel Odegaard has been the best player this season. Foden has been awesome. But I feel it's still a very good team. And so this is the key thing. How much has he stood out? So it's not only how good you are, how much you've stood out. I think that Foden is amazing. We can't sleep on Rodri. Remember Rodri's record whenever he's played? Like City have only lost one game when Rodri has played, and that was against Real Madrid on penalties. In the Premier League, I don't think City have lost a game while Rodri has been playing. So we cannot ignore Rodri, how important he's been, who should be on this list. And I'd probably give it to Rodri if he was a nominee. So if Rodri was a nominee, I'd probably give it to him. So we cannot ignore Rodri. We cannot ignore Bernardo Silva. Like Bernardo Silva, Rodri, John Stones, crucial. For Arsenal, shouts to Trossard. For Havertz, I think Odegaard is so... no. Shout out to Rice. I think Rice is close. So Rice and Odegaard, I think they are far ahead from everyone else at Arsenal. But I think Odegaard has been he's set the benchmark so high, he's been so good, and he's been so consistent. His performances have been so consistent throughout the season. At such a high level, I've got to give it to him. Like for me, it is very close between him and Foden. Like him and Foden, it's like this. It's very close. But I just feel that if you just ask me who's been the best player in the Premier League this season, and those are the nominees, Odegaard. I think it's been Odegaard. And if Arsenal had a quality striker who had great movements, sharp finishing, and was on the same wavelength as Odegaard, Arsenal win the league, and this isn't a debate. Odegaard has maybe like 12, 13, 14, 15 assists, but he's working with Havertz. He's working with Jesus. So what do you have to say? So that's my thing. Again, that's just my view. You may agree or disagree, but I'll give it to the guard of honor.